Why would someone want to run semaglutide if they aren't a type 2 diabetic or overweight? I'm going to dive into my personal 2-week experience trying semaglutide, what I learned from the process, and what I hopefully can share with you when you are making decisions about if this drug is something that you want to incorporate or not. Thank you for those who are returning to my channel. If you're new, I'm DeMesquita. I have 8 years of competitive bodybuilding and healthy lifestyle coaching experience, and I'm transitioning my page to be more informative of healthy lifestyle topics that are super important for a general populace, as well as those who might compete or consider competing, and ultimately how to just live a healthier, longer life as a busy woman. In my video today, I wanted to discuss a topic that I haven't publicly talked about before, and that is, out of my show season this year, I had trouble getting my eating under control. Now, in the past, I've talked about this. For most women who compete, it's very difficult when you are extremely structured for 4+ months, focusing on one goal, and it's almost like the jail is broken open. And you're like, oh, I can eat whatever I want. I'm not gonna gain weight and fat, which is not true. However, I was actually pretty dialed in coming out of the show, having some moderation here and there, but I did notice that I would just have terrible cravings. It wasn't necessarily hunger cues. It was more of the mental, oh, I think I want something. You know, being that semaglutide is extremely talked about in the marketplace today, I figured, you know, maybe I'll try it out. I can be more educated for myself, for my community, for my clients. Ended up ordering semaglutide. Was going to start off with 0.25 milligrams per week. So you do 1 injection per week. For most diabetics that are prescribed this, they are starting at 1.2 milligrams. So I was going to start at 0.25. The challenge, and this is what happened with me, when you are mixing it with bacterial static water and then pulling it into the insulin needle, it's super easy to miscalculate depending on if your bottle of semaglutide is a 2.5 milliliter bottle or a 5 milliliter bottle. In this instance, mine was a 5 milliliter bottle when I thought it was a 2.5. So I ended up pulling 2.5 milligrams of semaglutide. So what did I experience? Well, like most people, the first day that you do an injection, it takes a little bit to get into your system and bloodstream. From there, I had bouts of diarrhea, I had constipation, and then I started getting the gut distress. And this is probably the most commonly discussed challenge that patients have when they go on this drug, because what it's doing is causing that restriction of the gastric emptying. It almost feels like you have this extra gas. I actually felt like there was a knot in my stomach. It wouldn't go away. It made me not want to eat. I didn't want to move. It was hard to train. It was awful, actually. And even as I went about for that first week, I was like, okay, I'm not going to do another shot. So we get to day 7, and it was a Sunday, and I hadn't done my shot yet. All of a sudden, I'm ravenous. I'm just wanting to eat everything in my kitchen. And I'm like, oh boy, maybe I need to do another shot. So I do another shot. Now keep in mind, I had not told David what the amount was that I pulled on the insulin needle. So that day, I did my second shot. Felt like crap again, but at least I wasn't as hungry. Check in the next day with him, and he's like, how much semaglutide are you doing? I was like, 0.25. I'm pulling the tick on the insulin needle. And he's like, you're not doing 0.25, you're doing 2.5. And I'm like, crap. So at that point, I researched on Google to try and figure this out. Is there any way to get it out of your system faster? No, you can't. You have to just wait it out. Lo and behold, we get to week 2. I didn't do another shot after that. I just start chugging water. I actually started doing a few of my other dieting tools to help with satiety, and that kind of helped me get back to normal. But it took a few days for my bowel movements to get regular again as well. My personal experience with semaglutide was not so fun. Did it accomplish what I needed it to? Yes. Why am I bringing this up to you today? Because it is a tool in the toolbox for people that are trying to manage their appetite, but more importantly, those of you who have issues with insulin resistance and supporting your pancreatic system so that you can get your blood sugar levels lowered. This is the main mechanism of action that it actually does. Semaglutide is a GLP-1 agonist. What does that mean in layman's terms? It's suppressing that release of insulin to the B cells in order to support blood blood glucose levels. And in turn, it also suppresses glucagon production in the A cells as well. So in this process, we are helping the pancreas return to healthier levels. In my prep, I actually had really good blood sugar levels. Like at one point, they were in the 70s, which is the lowest I've ever had in my life. So was super excited about that. Now coming out of show, I enjoyed some sweets, carbs that I don't normally eat, things that'll elevate my blood sugar a little bit. So that was another reason I wanted to implement it, was because my blood sugar was in the high 90s again, and I didn't want it there. Now the caveat with this is I never recommend someone to go on a drug just because they can't control or be disciplined enough with their habits. At the end of the day, habit creation and sticking to your plan is going to be paramount, but the other thing to be concerned about is there are some long-term negative side effects from using this drug specifically. What we know from research, it can cause hypoglycemia, pancreatitis because of those severe abdominal pains. Eventually, it can lead to dehydration, diarrhea, and potentially issues with your kidneys. The thyroid C cells can be impacted, potentially cancerous down the road, and even some women have shown to have lost their menstrual cycle. So once again, the main element is getting on a healthy diet, something you can stick with, that you're regimented with, that allows you to be consistent, but also to enjoy the foods that you eat. It is a tool in the toolbox. You don't need to start the dose super high, like I said, and I would highly recommend not doing. And you also just need to take note that anything you put into your body can and will have a side effect of some sort.